James Webb Space Telescope spotted a large object about 10 light years away moving toward Earth. The posts claim that the telescope captured the object changing its trajectory
far beyond the capabilities of standard telescopes. There has been an odd movement among the shadows.
Moving too quickly to have come from the outer reaches, it's from someplace else.
It initially appeared to be just another innocuous space rock floating by. However, when the James Webb Space Telescope caught onto it, people realized they weren't the only ones observing the sky.
It was a very elongated spaceship that came from another star.
We don't know what's coming. And whatever it is moving toward us with a goal that we are still unable to comprehend. The instant when everything was different. 3EA Atlas traveled silently across the chill of deep space for several months. It was already unique because it was the third confirmed object from beyond our solar system. Currently speeding through our solar system is 3I Atlas, the third interplanetary object ever seen from Earth. However, the majority of experts believed it to be just an uncommon comet from a different solar system. It floated effortlessly. It traveled in a steady, serene manner. There was no reason to second-guess it. It was quiet, far away, and harmless. Then, in an instant, everything was different. Observing from its location much beyond the moon, the James Webb Space Telescope hinted an oddity. From inside, the thing came a slight warmth. The reading did not correspond with the absorption of sunshine or the gradual warming of ice. Like a biological system starting to move or a controlled engine warming up, it rose in a steady curve. The 3I Atlas appeared to have sprung to life. This heat did not disperse at random. It glowed faintly from the center while remaining stationary. Suddenly, Webb noticed a small stream of energy escaping the thing. It wasn't a natural gas explosion or a spray of flame. It appeared more like a focused, narrow beam. Furthermore, it is only the third object that has been proven to have originated in interstellar space. Each pulse landed at precisely the same interval as it flickered once, again, and again. Returning to Earth, it was verified by ground stations. The time was ideal, too ideal for any known natural mechanism. Rocks, comets, and stars don't think. They don't pulse like a well-functioning machine. They don't emit consistent bursts like a signal attempting to be detected or quantified. The world was still unaware. However, humanity went too far at that point. When 3 Atlas changed course, that was the next shock. The gravity of a planet did not force it to drift or bend. It turned precisely and minutely. It appeared to have made a deliberate change in direction. Something inside seemed to have awakened, surveyed its surroundings, and come to a conclusion. Astronomers gazed at their screens in shock. They witnessed a visitor from another star system acting purposefully for the first time. It stopped acting like a rock. It didn't behave like it was just falling through space anymore. The silent wanderer was no longer silent because something had changed. A weight in their chest was later reported by those who examined the data in real time. It was the sensation of seeing something novel and potent that defied our understanding of nature's laws. 3 Atlas transformed from a chilly drifting object to a mystery throbbing with controlled electricity in just one night. Scientists everywhere realized they were seeing the unfolding of history at that very time. Because the object was not simply waking up, that abrupt change prompted scientists to investigate further. It was moving purposefully, an abrupt waking in the dark. Deep space has a constant, dependable silence. Gravity pulls objects, causing them to move. Only when they approach a star do comets begin to heat up. Even so, they behave in an untidy and inconsistent manner. Scientists were not prepared for what transpired with 3 Atlas by anything in the history of astronomy. It did not send out random signals. Like a machine checking itself, they rose and fell in a constant pace. A comet that shouldn't even exist has grown mysteriously brighter when it should have become dull, lost its tail, and defied physics. Every pulse's intervals matched established mathematical ratios that are frequently observed in engineered systems. Natural things floating through the void did not exhibit this level of accuracy. Experts were likewise perplexed by the heat readings. As comets warm up, ice converts to gas, causing abrupt temperature spikes. That was not what this item did. Its temperature rose in a systematic and seamless manner. In a neat cycle, it rose, remained constant, and then plummeted. Its center appeared to be undergoing a controlled reaction, as if something inside was gradually awakening. Then, thin and concentrated spectral lines were found by telescopes. As it happens, the 3 Atlas and the 2 WOW signal directions line up. Light is dispersed unevenly and widely by natural objects. These were clean, thin lines that resembled earthly steered laser channels or communication transmissions. Uncertain whether they were witnessing a collapse of physics or the start of something new, scientists gazed at the data. The most seasoned astronomers explained the object's actions as though it had a goal. Although they disagreed with those terms, they were unable to come up with more appropriate ones based on the information. Everything pointed to the same unpleasant notion, and the pattern persisted. There appeared to be a procedure going on inside 3 Atlas. It didn't appear to be gas expanding or chemical ice melting. It appeared to be a setup sequence. The thing behaved like a long idle system that was now gradually coming online. Every spectrum signal sharpened, every heat pulse became somewhat stronger, and the intervals between each cycle remained flawless. Even more of our robotic explorers will be in the comet's path. After that, things got worse. Once more, the core temperature increased without declining. It remained warm. The object abruptly changed course. It didn't float. It didn't sway. It turned slowly and purposefully. Tracking stations witnessed it in real time. The movement could not be explained by gravity alone. This implied that the thing had some sort of internal force, as if it had engines or a propulsion mechanism that scientists were unable to comprehend. The inner solar system was the target of the new route. It curved smoothly, like a car shifting direction rather than a boulder pushed off course. It indicated areas with heat, energy, and potentially life-supporting planets. It was the most controlled direction change of any known comet, asteroid, or interstellar rock. It moved as if it had decided where to go. Space organizations everywhere in the world became vigilant. To analyze the data, experts convened during emergency calls. The moment was dubbed a cosmic warning bell by some. It felt like an awakening, others muttered. The item stopped acting like a silent traveler. It acted as though it knew where it was going. The object did not behave like a comet, and as it got closer, its behavior only became more bizarre. Before long, it was doing things that violated even more natural laws. Astronomers anticipated typical comet behavior when 3 Atlas approached the Sun. Ice melts to gas, comets warm up, and sunlight increases their brightness. That aspect did occur, but not in the manner that everyone had anticipated. The object changed into a vivid blue-green point in the sky, rather than glowing white or light gold. Like most icy bodies, its color rapidly changed, and its glow intensified at a rate significantly faster than what frozen space rocks typically exhibit close to the Sun. From a distance, it appeared as though someone had turned up a power dial. NASA investigated the luminescence using the James Webb Space Telescope. Telescopes financed by NASA are constantly looking up into the sky. The initial measurements verified well-known substances like carbon dioxide and water vapor, which correspond to what comets typically emit. However, Webb noticed something that completely altered the situation. The emission cloud contained traces of vaporized nickel. Unless cooked to very high temperatures, nickel remains a solid metal. Ordinary comets floating through chilly space do not produce that amount of heat. Something inside the object has to generate a lot of energy in order for nickel to transform. into gas dot capable of superheating metal. Under standard physics, this revelation was incomprehensible to scientists. In the absence of an internal source of thermal activity, cold interstellar objects do not abruptly begin to boil metal. The most potent telescopes in the world are searching for answers to a question that keeps astronomers up at night. However, they were unable to detect the object's nuclear heat signature, solar panels, or engine. The vaporized nickel suggested that a steady, regulated energy process was taking place within one, keeping the interior heated long before sunlight reached it. This posed an unsettling query. What kind of system is sleeping in deep space and only awakens when it gets close to a star? Then something even more bizarre was observed by telescopes. A plume of dust appeared, but it did not follow the item. It pointed in the direction of the sun. Just like a typical comet tail. We refer to this form as an anti-tail. It indicates that the solar wind was not pushing dust away as it should have. Rather, a force or motion pattern that scientists were unable to explain was suggested by the dust lining up in a clean and stable course. Anti-tails are uncommon and only occur when peculiar dust formations and particular orbital angles coincide precisely. However, in this instance, the shape appeared stable and in control, as if the item was controlling the surrounding particles. Experts on comets gaped at the facts. They were aware of every common explanation. Gravity, gas jets, and sunshine pressure all affect dust forms. Recent photos reveal a bright, compact object devoid of the distinguishing characteristic of comets. However, none of those could account for this tidy structure facing the light. On Earth, experts argued about whether it was a coincidence, an uncommon but natural occurrence, or an indication that the object was influencing its surroundings differently than comets. Scientists were forced to make difficult statements with each new interpretation. They were unable to comprehend what they were observing. The device exhibited exceptional control over heat, internal energy, and a dust pattern that adhered to rules unique to space. If it was natural, it was an unprecedented kind of object. The world was witnessing the first verified indication that something was constructed rather than born if it wasn't natural. When hints of something even more unexpected, a hint of life, appeared, the enigma deepened. James Webb observed that certain emission patterns corresponded with biological rhythms observed in earthly living cells. And following it, the device darkened as though it had entered a silent mode to conceal activity. Scientists were not declaring evidence of life at this point. All they were attempting to interpret were signals that appeared strangely familiar. A peculiar rhythm in the emissions from 3 atlases was observed by certain researchers. Using high-resolution spectral analysis, the intervals fluctuated in cycles that resembled patterns found in some earthly biological systems. Chemical processes in live cells frequently follow timed pulses similar to molecular breathing. It seemed surreal to see something from beyond our solar system that vaguely resembled those beats. Experts leaned in closer, albeit it might have been a coincidence. The object's brightness abruptly altered after a small change in direction. Rather than going on, it dimmed briefly, almost as if it went into a quiet mode before glowing brighter as it got closer to the sun. According to several viewers, it appeared as though the object was deciding to lessen its visual activity. It is possible for machines to idle. Comets typically don't dim on order, but cells can rest. The idea that the object might be managing its own energy was stoked by this event. People could not ignore the unsettling pattern, but there was no proof. A deep scan imaging surprise followed. Within the emissions of the item, several organic-like signals emerged. These patterns lacked sufficient clarity to be classified as biological. Some chemical structures, such basic carbon chains and repetitive ring structures seen in primordial chemistry, did, however, resemble early life's building blocks. We all now think that we emerged from a chemical soup. That is the scientific explanation for the emergence of human intelligence. These scaffolds play a role in the initial organization of basic molecules on Earth prior to the emergence of living forms. Organic molecules are prevalent in space. However, this arrangement appeared abnormally structured, as if it were purposefully repeated. That attracted more notice. Certain microscopic structures matched faint contours that resembled ancient DNA, fragments from Earth's early past or virus shells. The shapes reminded scientists of viruses and DNA, although this does not imply that they were present in the material. Astrobiologists were compelled to pose fresh queries as a result of these commonalities. Is it possible that the 3I Atlas contains latent biological material? Could it contain life in a frozen state, waiting to be awakened by warmth? Or was it creating non-living chemical reactions that resembled life? In hushed study groups, a daring concept emerged. What if the object itself was a type of life rather than a container for life? It's not biological as we know it, but something else entirely. Something that replaces flesh with metal. Starlight replaces nourishment and energy cycles replace breathing. Consider a space-traveling organism that can sleep in the dark and become active when it comes into contact with a star. Some scientists thought it was science fiction. It was a legitimate inquiry to others. We have previously been taken aback by nature, and life on Earth has demonstrated inventiveness in ways we previously believed were unattainable. These concepts persisted. Conjecture, nobody asserted certainty. However, each odd signal led researchers to one uncomfortable idea. If extraterrestrial life exists, it may not resemble anything we would anticipate. It may be concealed inside what was formerly known as a comet. Other hypotheses swiftly followed the introduction of the concept of life. Advanced skills and disturbing theories. Scientists monitoring Earth's magnetic field close to the South Atlantic anomaly, a weak spot in our planet's magnetic shield, saw more weak electromagnetic pulses as 3I Atlas traveled farther into the solar system. These pulses coincided with changes in the object's orientation or speed. The timing lined up too neatly for some scholars to ignore, even though it might have been a coincidence. In this instance, if it has a technical foundation, it may have consequences for humanity. It suggested if the signals were connected, at an odd relationship between the object and the space environment of Earth. It posed an awkward query. From millions of kilometers distant, might the object perceive us or communicate with us? As the concept of biology gained traction, other theories emerged swiftly. A bold but plausible notion was proposed by certain specialists. Perhaps 3I Atlas wasn't actually a comet. Perhaps it was a living, evolving Voyager on an other planet. Numerous deep-sea organisms on Earth have evolved to withstand great isolation, darkness, and pressure. Even in locations we once believed to be empty, life manages to adapt. Therefore, life created for space might not appear biological to us if it originated on another planet, even though it appears to be made of stone and metal. It can store energy and breathe. Details. The gravity puzzle followed next. Scientists observed that the object's velocity did not quite correspond to its estimated mass. It acted as though it could use more than simply momentum and solar gravity to change its course. This led to conjecture that it might use some sort of gravity control to steer by slightly bending space. Although humans have notions about such technology, there is no practical way to implement it. We were unable to view it when it was closest to the Sun because Earth was on the other side. We would be witnessing advanced physics in action if 3I Atlas was acting in that manner. The next hint was rotation. Telescopes discovered that its spin was not random as they measured it. The object rotated in exact timing patterns related to mathematics. Pi, the golden ratio, and prime number sequences are examples of ratios that matched numbers. These kinds of patterns are occasionally produced by nature, though not with such precise recurrence. It appeared to mathematicians to be a silent language. Motion was used in a manner similar to how people use code or symbols. 3 Atlas might be traveling with more than just a goal, if that were the case. It could be speaking. These hints diverted attention from the straightforward notion of a rock from a different star. Minds started to speculate that this visitor might be something that had evolved or been designed to function like intelligence. It was referred to as a probe by some. It was referred to as a traveler by others. In any case, the hypotheses began to converge on a single concept. If it was created, therefore it was created by something. And if it was alive, space might contain life that is beyond our comprehension. Rising questions led to a search for purpose. Why was this object here if it knew where it was going? All of these asteroid collisions pose the greatest threat to everything on the surface. Makes an effort to comprehend its purpose. Curiosity gave way to urgency with every new discovery. Scientists needed to understand the function of the 3 Atlas if it had one. Teams from all over the world started going through ancient telescope recordings and sky surveys. At that point, an unexpected pattern emerged. In 1987-1998, a teen, 3 minor space disturbances were observed in the same general direction. They appeared insignificant at the moment, like strange signals or far-off glimmers that did not correspond with recognized objects. They now lined up, nearly exactly along its current course using the updated data from 3I Atlas. One thing was implied by that. It may not be here for the first time. The object may have been watching our system for decades or more if it had previously been here. The atmosphere at scientific gatherings was altered as a result. What had started off as curiosity was turning into a profound enigma. Why come back more than once? Why don't you speak? Did it learn anything from its previous visits? Was it researching the solar system overall, or just us? Attempts at communication soon ensued. Focusing on the object, the biggest radio telescopes on Earth blasted precisely timed pulses into space. NASA's space observatories, including as Hubble, Webb, and Spherix, complement ground-based research. Simple patterns were carried by these signals, such being more intricate coded messages and counting sequences. Nothing happened for 3 days. The object's spin then marginally changed an hour after the last pulse was sent. Although it was a small adjustment, the timing seemed deliberate. Both no signal and no words were returned. The object seemed to want to acknowledge the attempt without initiating a full discussion, as if it were a nonverbal reaction. As if it were a nonverbal reaction. The mystery was further complicated by trajectory studies. Refined tracking revealed a clearer route. Although early models suggested it was approaching the inner solar system in a gradual curve. It was traveling in the direction of Europa and Enceladus, close to Jupiter and Saturn. It is thought that beneath the frozen surfaces of these 2 ice moons lay liquid oceans. Many scientists believe that life may exist in those oceans. If the 3I Atlas selected that course on purpose, it may be more interested in worlds that have the potential to support life or the conditions necessary for it than on Earth. Speculation quickly spread. According to one theory, the object may be monitoring life in several star systems, similar to how we research microorganisms in harsh environments on Earth. Another idea was much more audacious. Perhaps it included life seeds, which are microscopic biological materials that could aid in the emergence of life on nascent worlds. This idea aligned with the panspermia theory, which postulates that life may move across space on rocks, dust, or man-made carriers. It could be considerably smaller and encircled by a cloud of dust, or it could be that big. It might be a part of a vast cycle of life between stars if 3 Atlas has that function. Some perceived a more circumspect interpretation. Perhaps it was only observing, having come to keep an eye on things, gain knowledge, and move on, like a scouting silently between planets. Silence can signify a variety of things, such as caution, patience, or just a communication style that we do not yet comprehend. One last inquiry is more important than all the others if this visitor came on purpose. Why in this place? Why now, too? And how does that affect us? What does that signify for us? Some scientists questioned whether the comet might be a kind of living form that can withstand the harsh void between stars, as 3 atlas